Okay, this is actually the third time I've had to record this because I stuffed up a couple of times. One time there was an interruption, and one time, this last time, I just realised there was stuff I didn't put in. Alright, we're coming off WrestleMania. We've got stuff to take care of now. We've got the draft coming up. So we've got to change some things up. So we've got to get some belts off some people that we put the belts on. But we got to put other belts on them as well. Well, and you'll see what I mean by that when we get to the stage, because that was one thing that I didn't cover. It was a title change, and I had to make it up on the spot. But I've gone back, I've fixed the problem, and I think it will make things a little bit interesting as well. Hopefully. Yeah, so Intercontinental Title, Carlito and Mickie James versus Johnny Nitro and Melina. Carlito pins Nitro. Sorry, I've had to go through this 3 times, so I've got to have something to drink. U.S. Title, MVP versus Finlay versus Chris Benoit. Finlay has been brought into this feud because of his previous interactions with Benoit. It's just a way of keeping things interesting and keeping Finlay relatively relevant for a little while longer. MVP, Finlay and Chris Benoit. MVP, of course, pins Finlay. And we keep going here. Yeah, this thing with Benoit and MVP is going to keep going. World Tag Team titles. Cryme Time, JTG and Shad versus Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. Shad pins Murdoch. Okay. Cruiserweight title, Chavo Guerrero versus Jimmy Wang Yang versus Funaki versus Jamie Noble. Chavo pins Funaki. Okay. That was just that's like, again, I'd probably do some more story elements with that, but it'd be like keep the Cruiserweight title central to the feud, sort of thing. Yeah, and we got a grudge match coming out. Yeah, Bobby Lashley teaming with CM Punk to take on New Breed members Elijah Burke and Marcus Corvon. Now again, this will evolve in the next show. We'll develop it, but this is to set up the next pay-per-view event. Plus, Bobby Lashley's been running roughshod through ECW. He's been beating guys left, right, and center. So if someone were to beat him and take the title off him, it would be a big deal. Okay, so I want to do that. Sorry. Last man standing, Undertaker vs Batista. Undertaker goes over. But again, he was injured, so we're going to do some stuff with him. Now, Cena's going into this holding the belt. He's been holding it for a while. So what am I going to do? I'm going to rip it right off him. No way that man is holding a belt year round with me. What the hell? John Cena versus Shawn Michaels versus Edge versus Randy Orton. Orton wins. Here we go. After a super kick hits from HBK hits Edge. John Cena FUs HBK, and then Orton comes in, RKO's Cena with that. RKO. Damn it, one other thing I forgot to do. Okay. Now we continue on, but we've got something and we've got to clean up. Okay, around about this time, Undertaker was hurt, so we got to get him off the TV for a bit, and we got to get the belt off him. Okay, the way I do that is there's a rematch announced between Batista and Undertaker, one last time. But what we do is we throw King Booker in there as well. And King Booker, out of nowhere, wins the belt over over them. So none of this tie, and then we need to get the briefcase off them things. Plus, if need be, I'd just say, well, if the injury was as bad as it sounded with Mr. Kennedy, I'd find a way around that. Just bring him back. He's still holding the briefcase, and he gets speared or something later on. In between time. So yeah. Alright, so we've got a new champion in King Booker. Okay, and yeah, we're going to be rehashing some stuff from some previous times, but that's okay. I don't mind that. Judgment Day, Carlito versus Kenny Dykstra. Carlito runs right over him. Carlito wins. WWE Tag Team titles. Yes, because they're still holding the belts. Now, Paul London and Brian Kendrick have sort of gotten thrown into this whole Cruiserweight division thing as well. They got some tension with Chavo, and Chavo wants their belts, and in some ways Paul London and Brian Kendrick want his belts, but we can't have all the belts on the line in the same match because a Cruiserweight guy isn't holding the U.S. title. Well, yeah, I don't know why. We don't know why. Let's just say MVP doesn't get along with Chavo. Paul London and Brian Kendrick versus Chavo and Jamie Noble. London pins Noble. It's that simple. And that's why I didn't want to take the belt off from MVP yet, but I wanted to keep the tag belts on them. So it's that simple. Ric Flair versus Eugene Dinsmore, and eventually they'll get shot into Gene Dinsmore. Eugene pins Ric Flair, and again, this is the revamped Eugene Dinsmore. This is not the happy-go-lucky guy. This is the serious guy. This is not that guy. Okay, 4-way for the ECW title. 1 pinfall to a finish. Bobby Lashley versus Marcus Colvin versus CM Punk versus Elijah Burke. And how does this match end? This match ends with brass knuckles on Elijah Burke's fist. Bam! Hits CM Punk. He goes over. He walks out with the ECW title. Thus, the New Breed is holding the belt. And yeah, this shocks Bobby Lashley. He's like, what am I going to do now? And the reason he doesn't get a rematch is because the GM says to him, look, I can't give you a rematch because you might get drafted, and I'm not. You might win and then get drafted to Raw or SmackDown, and I'm keeping the belts on who they are on. Because fuck you, that's why. And yeah, Benoit's last chance for the US title. He has lost the belt to MVP. He had a rematch at Backlash, and here at Judgment Day, this is it. That's it. Maybe maybe I will have given him a shot in between time, but this is it. This is your last chance, buddy. And MVP wins. And the stip is too that as long as MVP is holding that belt, you can't get a shot. That's going to be a long time, and that's going to piss Benoit off. But maybe it will would have led to other opportunities. But the other thing here too is to remember, this is one of the last times we'll mention that guy here. WWE title, Randy Orton versus John Cena. Orton wins by knockout because he's using that punt kick thing at this time from memory. So that's how he wins. He punt kicks Cena in the head and knocks him out. It's just a big deal. We can do a concussion angle or something. World title, King Booker with Queen Charmel takes on Batista. King Booker wins after a distraction from it's really a big thing there. Okay. One night stand. Women's title Lumberjill match. Because each match here has a stip. and we got to go through them all. Mickie James versus Melina. Melina wins. We can have some interference from the outside here, I think, and that's why Mickie loses. Street fight, Paul London and Brian Kendrick versus Deuce and Domino. Domino gets the pin because I doubt they would have. I really like Paul London and Brian Kendrick. I want him to be happy. So that's why I'm giving Domino the thing. Intercontinental title stretcher match. Carlito versus Umaga. Umaga wins. There's a reason for that. Stay tuned and you'll find out. This is mainly to set up stuff for the draft. Because I'm thinking ahead. Chavo Guerrero versus Jimmy Wang Yang in a first blood match. And yeah, I know I'm using these two guys a lot, but there's not much else wasn't much else to work with in the Cruiserweight division at the time. World Tag Team title table match, Cryme Time versus the world's greatest tag team. So Shelton manages to win by putting JTG through a table. Thus wins the belt. Okay, now Stip here is going to sound pretty cruel. But the other thing to remember is at this time also RVD was going to leave. So I incorporate that into a storyline. Because, yeah, he would have told me. I would have been told, oh, RVD's going to leave. Well, the thing here is to, instead of just saying he gets injured, we're going to say his career is done. So it's a ladder match, career versus title. The stip would be, okay, either you win the title, RVD, or your career is done. And I wouldn't have Elijah trick him into it. I would say that there's tension been raised between him and I guess Vince would probably be the guy at the time. So yeah, that's why that's there. But there's interference in the match, and that's why RVD is done. And it leaves the door open. It doesn't close it. It leaves the door open for his return. So, you know. Steel cage match. King Booker versus Batista. And again, this would be Batista's last time. But it wouldn't be spelled out for you in that way. It's just, well, it's a cage match. Therefore, it must end. WWE. Oh, and Booker escapes the cage. That's how it's done. It doesn't hurt. And plus, that doesn't really hurt Batista in the meantime, because I'm probably going to do some stuff with him down the road. WWE title, last man standing. Randy Orton versus John Cena. Same setup as before, same finish, but except there's a chair there. So he kicks the chair into Cena's head, and yeah, that kind of hurts Cena, and yeah, we can leave him laying there. We can do some stuff. Alright, here we go with the draft. Now, let me tell you who's going where. Alright, Carlito is going from Raw to ECW. Benoit, SmackDown to ECW. But that's not going to really affect anything. ECW, Bobby Lashley goes from ECW to Raw. Johnny Nitro and The Miz go from their respective brands to ECW. Super Crazy goes from Raw to SmackDown. Edge goes from Raw to SmackDown. Boogeyman goes from SmackDown to ECW. Viscera goes from Raw to SmackDown. Steven Richards goes from ECW to Raw. Mr. Kennedy goes from SmackDown to Raw. Jillian Hall goes from SmackDown to ECW. Daivari goes from ECW to SmackDown. Notice I didn't move him straight away. I kept him on ECW a little while longer. Candice from Raw to SmackDown. Again, a couple of these picks will affect the next show, the next pay-per-view. Sylvan goes from SmackDown to Raw. Val Venus from Raw to SmackDown. Ashley from SmackDown to ECW. That's not really going to affect anything because she was leaving soon anyway. Tori Wilson from Raw to SmackDown. Brett and Brian Major go to from ECW to SmackDown. Gregory Helms, SmackDown to ECW. Kenny Dykstra from Raw to ECW, and Hardcore Holly from ECW to SmackDown. Now, let me just run through for you what the matches were that night on that big Super Show draft. Sandman defeated Kenny Dykstra. CM Punk defeated Val Venus. Umaga defeated Sylvan. The Major Brothers defeated Jim Duggan and Super Crazy. Boogeyman defeated Santino Marella. Finlay defeated Ric Flair. Shannon Moore defeated Gregory Helms. Shannon Moore defeated Gregory Helms. Matt Hardy defeated Snitsky. And John Cena defeated both Mark Henry and Tommy Dreamer. Alright. We got a little bit of time, so I'll just run through Veangance for us. Alright. No big major storyline changes of what's been going on here. So, the World's Greatest Tag Team took on the Highlanders, and Shelton pinned Robbie. The Cruiserweight title, Super Crazy, took on Chavo Guerrero. Well, Chavo's had a pretty good run, so we're going to take the belt off him. I'm going to give it to Super Crazy, because that's something I would have done. Intercontinental title, Umaga versus Ric Flair. Umaga wins. Deuce and Domino with Cherry take on Val, Venus, and Viscera. Domino pins Val Venus. Melina versus Mickie James versus Beth Phoenix. Now, Beth Phoenix is a friggin' monster in this match, but Melina manages to get a quick victory over Mickie James. But we see Beth standing there, and she's like, get no way. Next time I'm going to beat you. U.S. title, MVP versus Hardcore Holly. Guess who wins? MVP. ECW title match, Carlito versus Johnny Nitro versus Elijah Burke. And Carlito wins, because he gets I want to put the belt on him, because I like Carlito. And I'm playing favorites. World title, King Booker versus Kane. Kane wins. Kane wins here. And finally, we got two new challenges, Bobby Lashley and the Great Khali, taking on Randy Orton. But it's in this triple threat main event. Instead of 5 guys with Mick Foley in there for no apparent reason. So Orton is walking away here with the belt. Well, that's about 18 minutes in. We'll be back with the Great American Bash, and we'll continue on after with that. Maybe we'll fit in like 4 shows like we did this time. 4 shows plus, I think we got through 5 shows here. But we're only about halfway through the year, so we'll be back with more Booker Who.